We have Luigi over at our social media board. We're going to look over there and see if we've got some questions to answer for you.
We do have a question. It's a math question. At a bookstore, you spent $76 on 11 books and magazines. Books cost $8 each, steal, and magazines cost $5 each. Not as much of a steal. How many books and how many magazines did you buy?
All right. I'll take this one since it seems to be a math question.
Wendy
So
can take it.
the question was, so it was $76 for the total, and I believe, okay, so it was 11 books and magazines. Sometimes with these word problems, I like to almost take a little bit, some notes before I actually start solving my problem, just so that I can make sure that I have all of the important information with me, and also make sure that I don't miss anything and nothing gets jumbled in all those words. So if you cut to my screen, I've got some notes that I've taken, and I'm going to go ahead and start solving this. The other thing was that magazines cost, I believe it was, books were $8 each. That was it. So books, and then it was $5 for magazines. Okay, so here are my notes that I'm going to use in order to help me solve this problem. I know that altogether everything is going to be costing me $76, and that I bought 11 things altogether, combination of books and magazines. So this problem, it's a problem where we have two unknowns, and so if you have two unknowns or two variables, you want to write two equations with it. So it's a systems of equations problem. Our unknowns would be our books and our magazines, and so I'm going to go ahead and name books B, because we don't know how many number of books we have, and then I'm going to call magazines M, because we don't know how many magazines we have. There are two types of information we have in the problem. We know the total number of books and magazines, and we know the cost and the total of the magazines. So we're going to go ahead and write two equations. The first equation being, we know that altogether we bought 11 books and magazines. So what I can say is I can say B plus M, so the number of books plus the number of magazines, has to equal 11. So that's one equation that we can come up with from the information we were given. The second piece of information has to do with the cost. We know that altogether it's costing $76. So if I wanted to represent the cost of the books algebraically, what I would do is I would say $8 times the number of books I get. So for example, if I had 2 books, I would take 2 times 8 to find my cost. So I write that as 8B. That's the cost of the books. The cost of the magazines I can represent with 5 times M, or the number of magazines that I buy. And I know that altogether, so plus, it's supposed to cost $76. So I have two equations now that represent the facts of this problem. And I'm going to use a method called substitution to solve this. Now, systems of equations you can also solve with other methods. However, this is the method that I'm choosing for this problem today. So with substitution, the idea is you're going to choose one of your equations and get one of your variables by itself and solve for one of them. So I'm going to look at this first equation here, the B plus M equals 11, and I'm going to get B by itself. So to do that, what I have to do is subtract M from both sides. So what I'm left with is B equals 11 minus M. So I know now that every time I see the variable B in the next equation, instead of representing it as B, I can represent it as 11 minus M. So I'm substituting that into that equation. So I'm going to rewrite that second equation, that 8B plus 5M equals 76, and instead of B, we're putting in 11 minus M. So 11 minus M. So at this point with the equation, we have one equation and one variable, M, and so it's very possible to solve from here. So we're just going to use regular algebraic rules to solve for M. So the first thing I'll do is I'll use the distributive property and multiply 8 times 11, which is 88, and then 8 times negative M, which is negative 8M, plus 5M, which is just the rest of my equation. Now I'm going to combine like terms, which is negative 8M and 5M, And putting those together, I have negative 3m equals 76. And then to get m by itself, so I'm going to subtract 88. So minus 88. And I'm left with, on the left side, I have negative 3m. And then on the right side, I have negative, looks like negative 20, let's see, negative 12, I'm sorry. And then lastly, divide by negative 3. And to get m by itself, we have m equals 4. So back to our original, we know that m represented the number of magazines that we're buying. And so now we know that we have 4 magazines and we're going to buy 4 magazines. We also have to find books. So I like to think back to that equation that b plus m equals 11. So we knew that we bought 11 books and magazines all together. So what I need to find out is how many books I bought. So I can replace my magazines with the number 4 and solve for b to find out how many books there are. So I would subtract 4 from both sides. And that means that b is 7. So the number of books is 7. Now if you wanted to check your answer, what you could do is you could go back into that second equation, the cost equation, and find out, replace m and b with what we thought the numbers were for books and magazines, and find out if it truly does cost $76. And if that's the case, then it's a correct answer. However, you can trust me, this one is correct. So hopefully that helps you solve this problem. It's not the only way to solve a problem like this. It's just one of the methods that you can use to solve a problem like this. So.